Hi, sweeters. How are you doing? Good morning. This is just gonna be a video about just basically telling my story, kind of thing, um, to see if some people can also relate to it and to put an end to this horrible misery that we live in all stages when we are sick with these horrible diseases. The first one would be explaining how it all started when I was more or less around 12 years old, and then suddenly I had severe inflammation. Obviously, the doctors didn't have a clue what it was at the time. I had gut pain, I lost weight. It was around the period, the first period situation, and it was just awful, absolutely awful. I had like anxiety, I couldn't eat. No one understood the thing, apart from one old school doctor that said this is some sort of reactivated infection, and I didn't understand. Um, kind of all my teenage years and 20s, but there was always something weird going on, like just small things, like maybe some anxiety going on, gut issues, like, but nothing too severe to pay attention enough and to understand that something was wrong. So I just kept going. And yeah, and around 25 things got progressively worse. Let's say I was more tired than other people. I didn't understand why. I just felt something was off, but I didn't know either. I had panic attacks, which didn't make any sense because I didn't have really anxiety about anything, really. I had insomnia. My tongue was completely white, but I didn't know anything because they do not teach us how to take care of our bodies and what are the signs and to listen to them. So, yeah, eventually when I was around 30, lit something, everything collapsed badly. They found out I were nausea. I couldn't go into the, hair salon or anything toxic would start me with nausea and panic. And people made fun of me because of these symptoms for a really, really long time. And that was before getting really sick, which was horrible, to be honest. And I don't want anyone to live these kind of things. And then if you actually went to the conventional doctors, they would tell you, yeah, you have gut issues. That's why you have anxiety, and anxiety because you have gut issues. And it would make no sense at all. No one asked me, what do you eat? Where do you live? Anything at all whatsoever. They were, you know, when everything collapsed, it was first with the fibroid. And then I didn't understand what was going on. I was bleeding, yeah, obviously, things like that. There was insane, like, period pain, but it didn't make any sense because I couldn't move. I was completely paralyzed, like, whatsoever with a fibroid diagnosis, right? Something was wrong. And obviously, that was the end of my conventional medicine journey. And, that was it. So I thought, okay, what do I have? Then I stumbled upon I have a migraine that lasted a year. It was a year shouting of pain, and it was just absolutely beyond barbaric. I couldn't move. I was dizzy. I didn't understand the neurotoxic effect of all these. It was just horrific. But this was just the best part. Wait, um, you know, I could tell that I had chemical sensitivities, therefore, that the only way to regain my health was to actually move out from the toxic place I was, be in a quiet place, change the diet, all these things. So I did them and I got better. But by the time I did all this, the layers that I had were far beyond that uh, so that's how it started. I was like 2 years more or less in that kind of state where I got a lot better, but not fully there. And then one day I went to wash my hair and I had the worst experience of my life. I started feeling dizzy and I told my partner, hey, I'm feeling weird and strange. And everything exploded all at once. I lost consciousness of who I was, where I was. The room was spinning like an LSD trip. I was completely intoxicated and I had sepsis. The worst part of it, no one was bloody believing me and I was dying. The doctors, because they do not understand this, they were, yeah, you had blood poisoning, but we don't understand why. Therefore, you're discharged even though you're dying. It was just horrendous. And treating me like I was nuts, me and everyone else that had all these diseases. It was so bad that I spent the next 3 years battling for my life, and it was just horrific. Not to mention the lack of empathy of comes with the fact that people that you love, that you know, the people that you were expecting to be there, suddenly leave you to die, is just barbaric, especially when you do not remember anything, what happened, who you are, where you are. So they treat me badly beyond belief, you know, many. And then some that appeared out of nowhere did quite the opposite, thanks God. And that's the reason why I'm here and alive and talking. So, you know, if you've been through these kind of cases, especially with neuroinflammation, I remember when I first finally met, you know, who became my doctor, that I was just flipping out because he knew what was happening to me. And I was, you know, yeah, it's Lyme disease, but you know, Lyme disease involves all these. There's neuroinflammation. You're not crazy. This is dangerous, you know, you can die. You have to do something. And yeah, so the story goes into finding a proper place, which we finally found so I could heal. And that took, this cannot be lived by anyone like this. I was made fun of conventional doctors, of people, friends. I'm saying friends because they were not friends at all. And yeah, but I wasn't prepared to the moment that I'm living at the moment, which is okay, I survived all this. It took me a decade. I'm here, I'm alive. But now it seems like obviously I haven't been working all this time. I have nothing in, you know, to maintain this is expensive. To live and to start living when you've been a decade in isolation is bloody hard. And to start interacting as well. And you find yourself without friends, without people, without car, without, you know, at least having support in a place is what keeps me alive. But all this is part of the healing, and it's just unbelievable that we have to get to this point, still not be fully there and rely on all this, and also have to be fighting with this, frustrated, all that, and with the trauma of having experienced all that, or the fact that we could possibly fall unless we have all this, and thrive if we have people around us, a plan, and live. I still have too fresh all the memories from everything I've been going through. And to find yourself laughed at and almost die, and then when you really want to do things, not find the people and not know how to do it, and not have a car, and be scared not to have the things you need, because obviously the financial part, how you do it, if you need someone helping you and you can't work and there's no help because you do not, this illness does not exist for that horrible people, what the hell you do, right? So I guess, you know, yeah, things will happen slowly, and you know, but they do not appreciate how hard it is, and the fact that, yeah, I mean, others are luckier than me and they have more family members and they have more resources, and I guess that's the way it should be. Otherwise you do not survive this and maintain it, no? So yeah, I hope that this is sorted and things move slowly, but I just cannot believe that so many of us have to go through this. And then on top of that, if we actually survive, we actually have to go and survive all this too. So, I mean, hey, you know, again, all these diseases could be you. Environment, the environment is like the big issue. Toxicity is the big issue. And then obviously the lack of community, which is what we are lacking the most, empathy, and the fact to build a lifestyle later on that sustains this so people can live. And obviously the trauma of having lived all that before gotten, having a life and having people loving them and actually living, but being careful with all these things and toxins, right? So it's just very sad, and I wanted to put it out there because, you know, yeah, say for instance, this summer could be the first one that I could start living, being careful, taking the things, but there's no one there because everyone left. There's no people, there's no cart for me to move, and it's like waking up to a void. And yeah, I need like the basic, not the place, obviously, is the support, but how do you build from this? No, and how will you find the right way, the right path, the right people, and then actually be able to do these things? Going to the festival for the first time, going, people do not understand how hard it is to be in this phase of the healing and find yourself in this situation. Plenty of people that have been going through this in horrific ways. They don't even had one person, or they died. Obviously, this has different versions of it, like lighter ones, like brutal ones, like mine. And you have to be especially if you're a woman with the hormones, incredibly consistent and to maintain it too. but living, not like before in hell, trying not to die daily, you know. So this is something that society has to know: the cause, toxicity, trauma, and incoherence with our lives. But yeah, and the lack of community and so on. We have to change it. We cannot keep being in the shadows and being bullied by doctors that don't have a clue about what they do, and being bullied by society. And then later on, if we actually survive, finding ourselves in this situation. So, this is a call for trying to make society understand this is gonna happen to so many people, and it's so beyond brutal that we can no longer take it this way. Maybe you don't have, maybe you just have something like fibromyalgia, which is also this in a very low level. com- you know it's toxic. We have to not live in toxic environments, no, and stop buying and using all these things that are contributing to ill health to everyone. And same with the diet. Organic food should not be organic food, should be food, and should be at a price for everyone to get. It's just the right, same as living in a toxic free environment. Before, you have to actually do it or you die, and to maintain it too. So, so yeah, it was just like reflections, morning ones. Like, so if you have any ideas and you went through this, please tell us our story. I mean, your story. If you want to be interviewed and explain yours, please let me know, so we can put this out there and make society, especially. I mean, I don't care about medicine anymore. Alternative medicine, real one, yeah, but not conventional toxic one. Let's say it's really cool for emergencies, but not for health. So. So yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Goodbye.